So welcome everyone to what is likely going to be an hour-long plus video of me doing the A to Z profile optimization guide for Upwork. I'm going to be going over everything in explicit detail. This is a document with over 109 pages and I'm going to be running through all of it. So what I'd recommend is that you get a snack, a drink, and get very comfortable. Make sure you're taking notes. And if you're the type of person that is unable to sit down and just learn for extended periods of time, then this is your opportunity to just sign off the video immediately. This is only for people who are serious. So just getting into it. This is the next lead gen database that can add 10 plus calls to your calendar and requires next to no effort to leverage. What we're going to be talking about today is how an optimized Upwork profile attracts clients with basically zero effort from you. So just to give you a bit of background on myself, my name is Matthew Johnson. I'm 21 years old and I'm from Jamaica. So if my accent does sound a bit funny to you, then that's probably why. And I'm the sole creator of this document. I'm also the founder of Pleiades Consultancy, which is a company based around lead generation, specifically to get leads, qualified leads for companies using Upwork. I've been in the Upwork and marketing agency space for close to 2 years now and have driven over 100,000 in revenue for B2B companies, marketing agencies, and freelancers exclusively from Upwork. The actual figure is probably much higher because LTV on Upwork, which is the long-term value of a client, is typically incredibly high and it leads to a lot of referrals as well. So I haven't spoken with my clients as to how big their number actually is, but I reckon it's somewhere around 150 to 200,000. But potato. So here's me. And these are just a few of my social media profiles that you're able to peruse. I'll probably drop this in the description as well as my best YouTube videos in my honest opinion, as well as what I've been told from people who have actually used these videos to close clients on Upwork. So definitely recommend you check them out. I will have this document in the description. So don't worry, don't hesitate. It's always there if you want to go through in your own convenient time as well. So moving on, I also have a community dedicated to the complete understanding and implementation of Upwork as a method for B2B companies, marketing agencies, and of course freelancers to drive revenue through qualified, consistent, and quality leads at a fraction of the cost. Like Upwork isn't that expensive to run, especially if you take it in-house. So if you're interested in joining Upwork Mastery, link is in the description. So we're heading right into it from the introduction here. So why Upwork? There are over $2.5 billion is spent on Upwork every year, with that figure continuing to grow. So how much of that do you think is actually captured by agencies? I'll leave it to your imagination, but a hint is quite a bit. So everyone has heard of cold email, cold calling, paid ads, SEO. If you're here on this YouTube video, you're likely within the space and you understand just how many people are preaching the same methods of client acquisition. And don't get me wrong, they all work. I even use some of these myself. But as the market continues to sophisticate, the barrier of entry or the barrier to entry of these methods and the proficiency actually needed to see results becomes a wall that's insurmountable for either the common startup or just the average Joe who wants to get into the agency space, right? The B2B space. So it's kind of unsustainable after a while. And I've been sending cold emails for myself for like 2 years now, maybe 1.5 years since I didn't know at the beginning. I've booked like over 60 meetings in a month, but it's not something that will last forever, right? Upwork is a lead generation system like no other. So it's consistent, it's growing, it's high intent, and most importantly, it's untapped. So it's where B2B companies and freelancers alike can find not just leads, but partners, collaborators, and success. So we're going to talk a bit more about why Upwork. There's a little diagram there. So Upwork is consistent. The more you grow on Upwork, the more likely you are to be seen. The more likely you are to be seen, the more inbound leads you'll receive. The more inbound leads you receive, the less outbound marketing you'll have to do. The less outbound marketing you have to do, the more time you get to spend delivering S-tier results for your clients. And the better client results that you get, the more inbound leads you'll receive. And then the cycle just begins anew. It's an everlasting cycle. Provided that you do everything correctly, you will quite literally never run out of leads on Upwork. leads will come to you, right? So Upwork provides you with a consistent source of leads that will only continue to grow the longer you're actually on the platform. So this is identical to any social media platform, but with the added benefit of guaranteed longevity. Upwork is growing. So there are tens of thousands of jobs, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs posted on Upwork every single day. Some of which are from companies like eBay, Airbnb, Microsoft, Bloomberg, Samsung, and the list goes on. So I just have a little note here about this Upwork's definition of a core client, which is someone who has spent at least $5,000 and has been on the platform, like active on the platform within the last 12 months. And Upwork has 145,000 core clients. Like just do the math. The customer base has just been continuously growing. Like it's insane. So in other words, there are at least 200,000 plus clients that can afford your premium retainers without batting an eye. And the number only continues to increase year by year. If anything, it would be a cardinal sin for you not to be taking advantage of the platform while you're still somewhat early. So Upwork is high intent. So when I say high intent, I mean they, being the prospect, are already primed to buy something from you, which means less effort from your side convincing them. So when a prospect posts a job, it's because they want someone to apply to it. So that's outbound. When you send a proposal on Upwork, that's outbound marketing. But when a prospect reaches out to you in hopes that you will solve their issue, that's inbound. So they're coming to you, which means there's less friction. So it's because they want you specifically to do it. In other words, in both cases, the prospect doesn't have to be sold on a solution. They want the solution of their own accord. You don't have to sell them. They want you to do this. That's why they went out of their way to click on your profile to submit a proposal. So there's virtually no friction there. So as opposed to cold traffic like cold email, cold calling, etc., we have to employ tactics that may at times be borderline sleazy. And you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So you only need to be competent for jobs to land in your lap effortlessly on Upwork. You just need to be good at what it is that you're doing. That's all. There's virtually no other platform that can boast the same level of frictionless interactions between prospects and B2B companies, agencies, freelancers, whatever you want to refer to yourself as. So Upwork is untapped. Clients on Upwork spend $2.52 billion annually. Cumulatively, that's how much they spend. And this figure sees as an average year-over-year growth. So it experiences year-over-year growth of 11%. I'm not really a math guy, so you can do the math on that, but it's a lot of money. Like they're making a lot more money each year. But no one is talking about it. Like I'm on YouTube pretty often, more often than I should be. And I don't hear anybody talking about Upwork for businesses. Don't get me wrong, the same strategies that apply to businesses apply to freelancers and vice versa. So instead of favoring or glorifying cold traffic sources like cold email, cold calling, LinkedIn, etc., which we have already established works, they all require great time and effort to convert clients, which most simply don't have. Like I have worked with clients that are doing 100K plus in MRR, right? Monthly recurring revenue. And they just don't have the time to dedicate to taking care of their inboxes, doing the appointment setting, all of these things, right? People just don't have the time to do it. That's why they hire people. But the thing is that when they hire these people, they're only getting what they put in, right? So if they aren't able to train them well enough, they're actually hurting themselves by losing deals, right? So these client acquisition methods do 100% work, but tunnel visioning on them is unwise. Focusing only on one lead gen source is unwise. You cannot scale that way. I don't care what anyone says. Even if you're doing paid ads, you're not going to be able to scale as crazily or as insanely, for lack of a better word, as someone who has multiple methods of lead generation. So if there are alternatives that include a $2.52 billion pot just waiting for you to take from it, then I'd say that's a pretty no-brainer, right? Like even if you only got 100,000 out of that, that's 100,000 more than what you had prior. So does it actually work? Just a little note here. I've taken clients off Upwork as well, which is why the earnings in my screenshot here, and I'm going to get to it, only says 30,000. But this is a reasonable question. So no one prior to me, at least to my knowledge, has spoken about Upwork as a viable means for driving considerable company revenue. But that's because there are none quite like me. So I'm my own case study. I've earned over 50,000 for myself, and At the time of this video, I'd say it's a little bit more towards 100,000 for my clients, just exclusively through Upwork. That's all I knew in the beginning. I didn't know about all of these other traffic sources that I currently use. All I knew was Upwork, and I was able to scale my agency to the 10K per month mark pretty much exclusively through Upwork. Like I made my first 10 to 50K just from Upwork. And that's my profile as proof, by the way. You can always search it up. So Upwork is just another funnel. This is how I like to refer to it, because your Upwork profile is essentially a landing page. So many of you already understand a company without an optimized or clean website is perceived as a subpar business. Like subconsciously, when you see a company that has a terrible website, you automatically think that the quality of their services will be pretty bad as well. It's just a fact in terms of how we perceive it. They might have good services, but first impressions are lasting, right? An Upwork profile is no different. So where do we start? If we're to liken Upwork to a funnel, we must start with the top of funnel, otherwise known as awareness, right? Everybody's probably familiar with the funnel by now. In this case, that would be the profile. So when a prospect lands on your profile, they've gained a certain level of awareness and are now viable to further be pushed down the funnel, right? Until they buy. So 90% of freelancers and agency owners have virtually no idea how to craft a profile that isn't only appealing, but can actually convert. So the purpose of this doc is to teach you, complete beginner, even a seasoned veteran, people who have made over $1 million on Upwork have benefited from this. I'm going to teach you how you can fully optimize your Upwork profile, and that can get you leads on autopilot. So let's get it. This is a bit of fluff, but there's something I want everybody to understand, because this is like a buzzword. Optimization is a buzzword in this industry. People say that they optimize their profiles, not only on Upwork, but on social media, but many of you don't know what that is. So keeping the above analogy in mind, and being, of course, in the context of Upwork, optimization refers to the actions we take to ensure prospects who land on our Upwork profile have a significantly higher chance of converting into a client. So every step taken to achieve this can be referred to as an optimization. So is optimization necessary? And I have like these funny GIFs throughout the document. So for whoever is reading it, keeps them engaged. So let's say you're participating in a job interview. In this interview, you have 100 other applicants and you all have the same level of schooling. So you're all high school graduates with a 1500 SAT score. I think that's what they do in America. And you've all excelled in sports, right? You have a great resume. You play an instrument. Maybe you're in the glee club or whatever. How does the recruiter determine who gets the job? Strictly speaking, they look for many things the applicant isn't privy to. However, they can make an educated guess, they being the applicant, based on what they themselves would want to see. And this is what optimization achieves. So this is exactly why optimization is necessary. Rather than going for the copy and paste provider, you want something different. You want something unique, if you will, and proof that it works to assert you're making the correct decision. And most importantly, you want it to be relevant to your exact desires. And the end result, people will come looking for you. There's a repeat of that image, just to illustrate what an optimized profile can do for you. Now, many of you will skip over this part as well, but what it takes to win. So as you can imagine, this process isn't designed to be easy, which is why not many people talk about it. It's meant to be ongoing, with testing and iteration being a constant variable. I can give you the structure, no problem. Framework, sure. Best practices, 100%. But if you refuse to do any of what I've said in this document, then I guarantee you'll see no results. Guarantee you. And this only works as well as you do. So you need consistency, you need discipline, you need focus, and you need to have the ability to innovate. Because there's no one-size-fits-all solution. So part one, the profile picture. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. Whether you think so or not, this old adage is known by the vast majority of individuals for a reason. So when you're swiping left or right on Tinder or Hinge, whichever is your preferred app, your decision between the two is vastly affected by the other party's picture quality. That's all we use to grade it, right? I said we. Whoops. Would you swipe right on a 240p quality photo taken in their garbage chute? Probably not. But some of you probably would. Some of you probably would. But a large contingent of you wouldn't. And that's what I'm writing this for. So we want good quality photos. So the ideal profile picture, although our speech is typically casual on Upwork, I try to tell people to keep everything casual. But for the sake of creating an overwhelmingly positive first impression, we want a professional headshot on a solid background to precede the rest of the profile. So this is how you want it to look, right? This is mine. So just take a nice headshot and put it on a clear background, like a solid background. I'd recommend having this headshot done by professional, like on a professional quality camera, because you can just use this infinitely. But there are countless instances where, having one would be useful, but if you're starting from scratch and you can't afford it, then just use your iPhone if you have an iPhone. Even an Android would work, but prefer an iPhone though. So this is the lowest hanging fruit. Like everybody should be able to do this. So for the background editing, I like to use this app called PFP Maker, and you're able to personalize the background of your photo. So you don't have to worry about whether or not you don't take it on a solid background. Like it's fine. Just use this app and you're able to get by just fine. All right, so moving on to the title. So the second impression is what I like to call the title, because as soon as they look at your profile, that's the first thing they see, because it's in bold and it's in a heading 1, if you understand what I mean. So now that we're sure the prospect would swipe right if they saw us, it's time to get more technical. So immediately after being greeted by the profile picture, prospect will read the title. The purpose of the title is meant to answer the prospect's 2 immediate questions. What do we do? Why should they care? People tend to overlook this aspect simply because of its straightforwardness. But remember, I mentioned earlier that the efficacy of your profile stems on relevance. So you want an optimized title. So here's mine. This title's only purpose is to portray my expertise in social media management, social media strategy, and social media content creation, which are the services I offered when I was just starting out my agency. And although I had several other skills I could have offered, I chose to specialize on these, and it paid dividends, right? So definitely. Sure. So you've probably seen, and this is like a precursor to what I'm going to go into further detail in now. So we have the specialists and the generalists. So you've probably seen hundreds, if not thousands of videos on social media referencing the sheer importance of stacking skills in your entrepreneurial journey, right? They're like, skills are what pay the bills. Or you've probably seen an Alex Hormozi video when he's telling you about sacrificing your time in your 20s to learn skills or whatever. So I agree with that. Don't get me wrong. Versatility is indeed a trait that is highly coveted by those in the upper echelons of society. But what these gurus aren't telling you is people don't seek out generalists. They want a specific project to be done, and they want it to be done by a specialist. Someone who is an expert in that particular skill. And Upwork is no different. You're more appealing when you do one particular thing exceedingly well or better than 90% of people. And that's how you make the big bucks. So title crafting. So as a general rule of thumb, if you already know which one of your skills you want to offer, it's simply a matter of making them known while simultaneously portraying yourself as an authority or expert. If you're an experienced copywriter, you wouldn't title yourself expert copywriter. You'd use specificity to show you not only know what you're talking about, but you have experience doing it. So you want to use terms only people in your line of work would know is by far the easiest way to do it. So here's a diagram here. So I'm an experienced direct response copywriter. The average person, if they don't know what they're looking for, does not know what this is. They don't even know what they want, right? So it's like, what's that? What the hell is that, right? It's like, cool. What's that? And then you're trying to speak to someone in particular. That's what you need. That's what your profile is for. Your profile is meant to be seen by a specific person. And the specific person that you're looking for, or your ICP, ideal customer profile, will know what you're talking about because it's required for their success. So if you're an experienced direct response copywriter and you're appealing to the person that you want to work with, they're going to know who you are. And more than likely, they're going to want to work with you, especially if you're good at what you do. So awesome. I've been looking for one for ages. So a better title would be Experienced Direct Response Copywriter. And direct response copywriters do sales letters and video sales letters, VSLs. And people who want this will know what it is. So the industry may be different, but the structure remains the same. So don't overthink it. So let's go to rates. So your self-worth and net worth are not the same thing. I'm passionate about this topic because it doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or you're a person that has done like multi-millions. When you start off on Upwork, you start off just like everybody else. You're back to $15 an hour. That might even be too much for some of you, right? Like you put your rate as like $5 to $10, and then you're like, come to me and like, oh yeah, I need to be paid what I'm worth. What are you worth? I won't work for less than this much an hour. But for most of you, this doesn't even apply because a lot of you don't even have social proof. And for the ones that do have social proof, it will still be a bit difficult for you to just put on your profile that you're worth $250 an hour. Like it's very difficult to do that. So how could you possibly charge more than $15 per hour without looking pretentious? Right? You have zero experience on the platform. And what's worse, you don't even have social proof. You're not going anywhere. And if you're new to Upwork, you're already being compared to a professional that's at the zenith, like the apex of your field. So if you're charging $250 per hour as a beginner with $0 in earnings, like an expert vetted person in the same niche, then good luck. I wish you the best of luck. So negotiation is the word, right? In all honesty, I don't really care much for the topic of rates on Upwork. Like, I really don't care. My rates have been the same since I first started Upwork nearly 2 years ago at the time of writing this. And it's at $15 an hour. And it's because it's never been about the rate. It's never been about hourly work. I always opted for fixed rate payments instead. Like 100% of the time. Because clients were, of course, there were clients out there that would be like, oh yeah, your rate is $15, but oh, how are you charging me 2.5K or 2K? And I'd always handle the objection by saying like $15 an hour is just a benchmark of my pricing, right? I won't dive too much into the sales process because that's a topic for another day, but you get the point. When I get onto the call, their needs may differ from what I'm accustomed to delivering, which may require me to charge more or less, which is why negotiation will be your best friend on this platform. Like being able to sell, right? And you have proof here. This is my profile now. If you go and look at it, no, it hasn't changed. And I still get inbound leads, by the way. So I'd recommend you put your hourly rate at like $15 an hour. And if you ever want to increase it, use the feedback you've gotten from your clients and general social proof as your justification. You can't go wrong there, and you'll get those things with time, which is akin to how companies evaluate your worth through experience. Like they don't care if you have a degree. They don't really care. They just want to know that you can do your job and that you can do it well. That's all they care about. Just don't go overboard. Another thing you could do if you're fresh on Upwork is to compare the difference in rates between the top freelancer or agency in your niche and make your rate the midpoint. So that way it isn't too high and it isn't too low either. But for those who think they're worth significantly more than $15 an hour or whatever, just remember that doesn't matter if you have zero in earnings on your profile. Start small, build up. Okay, this is going to be a long one. The profile description. So opportunities first knock. So this is arguably the most important aspect of your profile and is easily where 99% of Upwork users colossally fail. The profile description is your first opportunity to write directly to the prospect, apart from the proposal. It's also where the prospect will immediately scan upon landing on your profile. So it's right below the title. So we're going in order, if you don't realize. So we have the profile picture first, the title, the rate, and then we have the profile description. So if you waste this digital real estate, it's highly likely you will lose the interest of the prospect and with it, your opportunity of converting them into a client. And here's where 99% of users fail. In my opinion, they fail due to a poor mindset because most of you reading this have probably been on Upwork. You've sent a few proposals, got no responses, and chalked it up as like a scam or something. I've seen and I've heard it all. And that's why most of you fail. You get no inbound or outbound leads specifically because of your mindset. So this directly affects the quality of your proposals and profile, and it results in failure. But luckily, the fix is relatively simple. So I've reviewed quite a few profile descriptions at this point, and a vast majority of them all sound the same. So it's like, hi sir, I would be delighted if you read this to the end and see how much of an asset I can be towards your company. Also, sir, I need this Upwork job because my family is starving and I'm the sole breadwinner. I would be willing to work for free and sell my family heirlooms. If you'd be so kind as to accept this proposal, kindly invite me to your job, please, so I can submit a proposal and we can discuss how I could be of best help to you. Yours sincerely, some guy. This is how you sound. This is genuinely how most of you sound. So, sir, I beg of you, please pick me. I have all skills you need and I really need this opportunity. And then they're like turned off. Because why are you so needy? You know, it's like you, right? Now, answer me honestly. If you read this, like read it out loud, would you honestly hire the person who wrote this? If any of you said yes, you are either profoundly pure or you might be stupid. Like, no offense. So entitlement and pandering. So nothing turns someone off more than neediness, right? For the ladies reading this, I'm 100% sure you're immediately turned off by a man who smells desperate. Like, you can smell it on him, right? Similarly, for the fellas, with some measure of self-respect, you wouldn't want to associate with someone who lacks any sense of self-worth. This is a man's world. It's like bitching, whining. Those are characteristics of a child, right? Like, people don't care. They don't care, genuinely. So pandering is the most disrespectful thing you could ever subject yourself to. And if you can't respect yourself, then how could you expect others to? Like, it's just completely nonsensical. So what the prospect feels. When a prospect posts a job on Upwork, it's because they've exhausted all their immediate options. I'm sure that for you running a business, if you have an issue, the first place that you go to, or you don't say to yourself, that's it, I should have got to Upwork first. I should go to Upwork first. Like, no, you don't think like that, right? You don't think like that. You know, that you've asked your network for help to no avail. They've tried doing it on their own, but they likely lack the time and expertise to sustain it. And you've probably handed it over to an employee, but it's proven too challenging of a task for them, who isn't an expert, right? They're not an expert. So hopping onto Upwork and going through the trouble of posting a job is quite literally their last resort. So do you understand what this means? They're in pain. And are desperately searching for someone to alleviate it. This is the attitude you need to have because they need you more than you need them. So you need to lean out. So they've tried it all, but just can't seem to find the right person for the job. They don't know what to do. You are the metaphorical doctor and they are the metaphorical patient. You have the cure. You are the prize. The prior analogy is a dynamic on Upwork, and it's what you must understand if you want to write a proper profile description. So you are the oasis the prospect is desperately searching for as they trudge through the desert. You are the prize. The prospect needs you more than you need them. And 90% of you will disregard these statements completely and continue operating under the mindset of like entitlement and pandering. And you will continue to fail. But for those of you who heed my words and make the changes, doesn't matter whether you're a freelancer like a one-man show or an agency. I want you to genuinely meditate on these statements. Write them down if you have to. Say them aloud after you wake up in the morning and at night before you go to bed. Only then will you understand what it means to market, whether that be on Upwork or otherwise. So moving now into the meat of the matter, it's the HWRW format. Now that we've gotten the woo stuff out of the way, the mindset stuff, we have what it takes to write a highly converting profile description. So I've worked with and consulted with 30 plus agencies and freelancers at this point, and I always use the same structure when creating new profile descriptions or just optimizing existing ones. Enter the HWRW format. There's a little diagram so you know what the acronyms mean or what the acronym means. All right, so now that that's out the way, we can get into the format. So the entire point of the HWRW format is to make a profile description as concise, readable, and actionable as possible. So these are the characteristics of a good profile description. If your profile description is too long, no one is going to read it. If your profile description is formatted poorly, no one is going to read it. If your profile description is unclear and the prospect, has to read in between the lines, no one is going to read it. So you recognize the trend now? Good. Now that you aren't completely clueless, can get into it. So the hook. This isn't what the first H in the HWRW format signifies, but this is what will precede it. So it's equally as important. While the prospect has landed on our profile of their own accord, they have come onto our profile, right? They clicked onto it. You can't force them. We need to give them a reason to read our description. And that's the purpose of the hook, like my diagram. Many of you are familiar with this method, whether consciously or unconsciously. When you're scrolling through TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube Shorts, as I'm sure you do, you watch particular videos because something has caught your attention within the first 1 to 2 seconds. Here's how I made 100K on YouTube in less than 90 days without showing my face. That's a hook. So hooks at work. So before we get into it, I have a note here. So unique mechanism refers to the process you take to get people results. So in cases A and B below, they'd be long form sales letter and video sales letter respectively. While I've likened Upwork to social media on several occasions, they aren't exactly the same. There's no such thing as Upwork shorts, at least not yet. So the type of hooks that work there are fundamentally different than something like TikTok. I mentioned earlier how important relevancy is to the overall success of an Upwork campaign, and that statement holds true regardless of which aspect we're harping on. So using the earlier example of a copywriter, my hook would look something like, I've generated A in revenue, so this is a structure, for clients through a unique mechanism. So I recently helped X client add an additional Y in revenue using unique mechanism. And here are the examples. So I've generated 3 million in revenue for clients through long form sales letters. Or B, I recently helped Upwork Kings, so that's fictional of course, add an additional 10,000 in revenue using video sales letters. So this is a diagram of what it looks like. So you should read my profile description to learn more about what I do and why I'm the one for the job. So that's just like the needy aspect I'm talking about. No one talks like this. Nobody talks like that. At least I hope they don't. Versus, this is your profile description, right? Your hook. I recently helped Upwork Kings and an additional 10,000 revenue using video sales letters. It's like, I want to know more about that. Like, what's a video sales letter, or how did he do that with VSLs? That's intriguing to them rather than read this. Like that doesn't work, right? So if you have no results, then there's no problem. So many of you have likely never worked with a client before. I expect that there are going to be a lot of beginners watching this video. So you lack experience, and that's okay. Everybody starts like that. I started like that. So instead of making reference to a specific revenue number, you can simply state your offer. So here's an example of mine. I help personal brands and B2C companies attain social proof and increased customer acquisition organically through social media in 90 days or less, or you don't pay. So that's a little wordy, but it gets the job done. I'm calling out an ICP, a specific person that I want to, read this profile description. And this is what I used for basically all my time on Upwork. I started on Upwork as a complete beginner, and that's what I did. That's what I offered. So information on creating an offer is probably like a 90-page doc by itself, but the 80-20 is for you to call out who this is for. So, personal brands or B2C companies. You have a clear endpoint. So you should attain social proof and increase customer acquisition in 90 days or less after working with me. And then you have your risk reversal. So, or you don't pay. Right? You get fully refunded. I am by no means an expert on crafting offers. So if you'd like more information on this, I'd recommend $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi, and specifically his value equation that I'm sure most of you are already familiar with. But in essence, this is the anatomy of an excellent offer. So the actual age. So what we're actually getting into it now, promise. Now that we've gotten the imposter age out the way, we can go through the HWRW format in earnest. So for the sake of being concise, you have to assume the prospect doesn't care much about you. They just don't care. So introducing yourself, talking about how much of a pleasure it is for them to be reading, or talking about your dreams and aspirations are all irrelevant. They don't care. I promise you. I've spoken with hundreds of them. They don't care. So hello, sir. My name is John, and I'm so happy to have you reading. It would be of great pleasure to me if you hired me. Hey, John doesn't care. Plainly, simply. John doesn't care. He could give less of a shit. So assuming the prospect is intrigued by your hook, they want to know how you get these results. So that's what the H stands for, how it works. And structure makes everything easier. So is any form of writing truly hard to you? Like in high school, you've likely written like hundreds of essays throughout your whole high school life. And if you were anything like me, seeing a model of what the essay is meant to look like made it unfathomably easier to write. Because of structure. That's why. Internally, you already have all the information needed to write the essay. At least most of us did. But putting pen to paper felt daunting because you didn't know where to start. I've been working on this doc for weeks while referencing ones that a mentor has written in the past, despite the topics being entirely different. And while this isn't an essay, the principle remains the same. It's much easier to act on something when there's a predetermined structure. Again, Upwork is no exception. So how it works. We want to establish preeminence with the prospect. So essentially, we want to read their minds. Thought I was done with the woo-woo stuff, but not quite. So here's a funny diagram I did. Sure, you guys would like it. As soon as a prospect gets through the hook, which likely has a bold claim, they're thinking to themselves, but how exactly did they do it? which is what the first H solves. You want to explain your process here without giving the prospect too much information. So detailing your copywriting or content creation process from A to Z would satiate the prospect's hunger for solving the issue, but they can't just ask anybody to do it after that. Like, your process has to be unique, especially in this rapidly sophisticated market. So just start them with breadcrumbs, like breadcrumb them. So just give them the bare minimum information while still maintaining their interest. So here's a quick example. Here's some time to read it, but this is what I did for exactly what I'm telling you now is what I did to see success on my Upwork profile and what I do for clients as well. So you want to outline how it works in explicit detail, give them the A to Z process in terms of what it is to work with you and not necessarily the mechanism, and they'll like this. So in the first block, I'm dispelling the fear of them thinking I'm just going to be outsourcing the work to some random Filipino or Filipina VA. And in the second block, I vaguely explain how I'd get them results without giving the exact engagement, content creation, or management strategy. And lastly, I reiterate my risk reversal. So if you see absolutely no change in your social media brand and its conversion rates, you'll get all your money back, and I'll even pay for dinner at your favorite restaurant. That's how confident I was. And that's why I got deals, because I trusted in my ability. I portrayed that I'd put the money where my mouth is, and people like that. So I'm actively checking all the boxes of what would prevent the prospect from moving forward with me and building rapport. But they're never given enough information to discern my exact strategy and then attempt to commoditize me. That just means price comparison. Here's the first W. So yes, after writing your first H, you've achieved your first W, which is a win. But that's not what I'm talking about here. The first W in the HWRW format is heavily overlooked, but makes all the difference between a 5-star review and a 1-star review. After the prospect gets a taste of what your process looks like, they should be wondering if it applies to them. Quality is everything. And in the beginning, when you have no experience as a freelancer or agency owner, you have the freedom to work with whoever you want because you need to gain a track record, which is fine. So the W may not apply for a large contingent of you, but for the sake of leaving no stone unturned, you need to understand the reasoning behind it. So let me make this abundantly clear. I have zero tolerance for mediocrity, especially if I'm teaching someone in hopes of them landing more clients or even their first client. So at all time, you need to deliver results that warrant an unequivocal 5-star review. So undoubtedly, you get 5 stars for it. Otherwise, you're a victim of your own mediocrity. There are going to be cases that are just out of your control, like just terrible clients. But as long as it's in your control, you must do everything you can to deliver work at the utmost quality. So focus on what you can control. I've had cases where a client has given me a 5-star review, and after stopping the work, like their second review was a 4-star review. I don't even think they meant anything by it, but it makes a huge difference. Right? So we live in a society where mediocrity is now encouraged, if not completely celebrated in some cases. And as a result, people are being scammed and taken advantage of more frequently. So quality is now a thing of the past for a large contingent of people. But this works in our favor because all we need to do to succeed is be better than 90% of people who, of course, embrace mediocrity. So this makes our task incredibly simple and makes it so much easier to stand out. And as a result, land more jobs. So this is a lot of work. Yes, it's a lot of work. Nobody said it would be easy. Nobody said that much. Your work needs to be too good to fail. This is something taught to me by a friend of mine. But the reason I brought that up in the first place is because you must be confident in your ability to get client results. Your work must be so good that it just cannot fail. So develop the mindset of refusing to stop until you get results. Doesn't matter how many hours it takes. Doesn't matter how many sleepless nights you must endure. It doesn't matter how much leisure you must sacrifice. You must attain results for your clients at all costs because you're simply too good to fail. And always remember and never forget that just that one thing. If you need to take anything from this video, take the fact that you have no choice. You have to be good or else, you'll fail. You need to be so good that you can't fail. So who is it for? I say all that to underscore the importance of being able to get results. So who it's for is referencing who you're able to get results for consistently. In other words, what type of clients do you get the best results for consistently? So in this particular case, I got the best results for B2C companies and personal brands. Therefore, I want to work exclusively with them to ensure I only get 5-star reviews. This is why, especially in the beginning, it may not apply to beginners, but you must have experience working with a client in the first place before you call out an ICP. So if you have no experience, then I'd recommend filling this section out expeditiously. So why do people buy? And this is a precursor for the next R, right, in the HWRW. So I could write another 90-page doc on this. Maybe I will. But it's important that you understand why people will buy from a complete stranger online. I touched on it earlier, but if the pain point is excruciating enough, the prospect will pay any amount of money to alleviate it. It's like a scratch they can't itch that will eventually fester into a blister if left long enough. That's bars, by the way. You go to the doctor for something like the common cold, but you go to an ENT for something like strep throat or an ear infection, and you gladly pay the doctor for prescribing something to relieve you of these symptoms. So you're essentially doing the same thing when you sell your services on Upwork. And similarly, prospects are more than willing to pay under the sole condition you can get them results. So if you can't clearly articulate what the end result is for the client, then they won't pay you. Simple as that. Results are everything. A man who does not work does not eat. So the R in the HWRW format stands for results. Your services can do one of two valuable things for the prospect. Either it saves them time or it makes them money. There's no other relevant result you could possibly convey that would push them to buy. Nothing else. So an offer, result, or service, whatever you want to refer to it, that would net them either of the two aforementioned commodities is what we refer to as value proposition. It's a value proposition. Here's a little chart for you guys. But you don't recover from a bad value proposition. So many veteran marketers don't even know what it means to craft a value proposition. So most of you would largely benefit from this. So I'll give you an example. When someone says they can help you gain followers on social media, their value proposition is incomplete. Nobody cares about the followers, or at least they shouldn't care about the followers on social media. It doesn't get them money, at least not explicitly. Not out the gate. And it doesn't get them time either. So when you say to someone, I'll increase your social media following by 10,000 in less than 90 days, for the vast majority of the demographic that will actually buy from you, they don't know how that would translate to either saving them time or making them money. So as a result, you lose the sale. Simple as that. In reality, you want the result of your offer or services to be clear and quantifiable. And those are the properties of a good value proposition. So I'll increase your social media following by 10K in less than 90 days. That's a clear, quantifiable result, but a weak value proposition. The easiest fix for this would be, I'll increase your social media following by 10,000 and help you earn your first 5K from it in less than 90 days. A bit wordy, but you get the gist of it. Now the prospect knows the result to expect since it's made incredibly clear and is also quantified if you follow it up with a guarantee. So you have an absolutely no-brainer offer or result as soon as all of these things are clear. So this is applicable on and off Upwork, and you can genuinely change. You can charge companies for this, and you can change entire companies with this if your offer is good enough. So now that we've gotten a firm understanding of the importance of results and how to present them, writing for the R becomes incredibly simple. So I've made the deliverables, they'll get clear, and the end result said deliverables will bring them. So it doesn't get any simpler than that. But I can assure you it works. So a clean, optimized social media page along with quality content that will increase your brand's conversion rates by at least 25%, which is a lot. So people love to be told what to do. No one really likes being told what to do, says behavioral health therapist of some university. Like, I cited it here. Don't come at me. I would challenge this article if I cared enough to do it formally, but instead, I'll speak anecdotally. People love being told what to do. In fact, most people would prefer not to think at all if they didn't have to. And it's pretty simple why. It's difficult. People shrink in the face of challenge or adversity in general. Heck, I've taken the time to write in explicit detail something that has made myself and my clients over 6 figures, but only a handful of you will actually do something with this information because it requires you to think. Prospects are no different. They're humans too. So the less the prospect has to think about their decisions, the easier it would be for them to execute. This is where the previous mention of a no-brainer offer stems from. We want to now apply this to every aspect of our profile. We want our instructions, our writing, and our quality of work to be so outstanding that the prospect doesn't have to think on what to do next, which is coincidentally what the second W stands for, the call to action. Towards the beginning of this doc, we underscored how important it is for our writing to be actionable. When the prospect reads our profile description, we want them to take action on it. They've seen all that we have to offer. Now it's time to drive the final nail into the coffin. We need a call to action, which is essentially our opportunity to give them instructions on how they can further this relationship. Meaning, how can they contact us now that they're somewhat primed to act on the metaphorical itch caused by their pain point? So what to do next? There are several ways we can go about this, but the most effective way is to give away some value for free. You may be asking yourself, does this work? Good question. There was a call to action for you to get this free document. And because the perceived value of the doc overruled that of your hesitancy to divulge important information, you gladly gave me your email address. So yes, it does work. But what you choose to give away for free must be valuable enough to solicit your prospect's time or further commitment. So in this case, I offered a free social media analysis call. So even if they don't go with me, they'd still leave with some actionable insights and a bit more direction, which should be somewhat valuable to them. Everybody wins. I get them on a call with the opportunity to sell them. And even if they don't go with me, they still get value from it. So listen up. The entire HWRW format can be used regardless of the niche. But if you copy all of it word for word, you will see 0 results. Guaranteed. You and I are completely different people, and that's our greatest strength. Play into your strengths and never forget your own voice. This document was written entirely by me and is not replicable because I wrote it in how I speak. This is how I speak, right? So there are 2 kinds of people that are reading this document, and I know them because I was once one of you. So there's one who will copy everything word for word and label me a scammer when it doesn't work. Or they'll utilize a framework purely for structure and write a profile description better than I ever could and become wildly successful on and off Upwork. Are you the average person who refuses to think, or will you become the next Upwork success story? The choice is yours. Nice. Finish with the profile description now. Woo. Bit of a mouthful. I can understand. So Upwork has a feature specifically meant to highlight the importance of specialization, the specialized profiles. And these are meant to influence the native search function on the platform. So when someone searches for social media manager or social media strategist without specialized profiles, I'd be at the bottom of the barrel. So again, specialization wins. So just choose your specialties wisely. You're only given 2 specialized profiles per account, so I have to choose them wisely. To help with this, Upwork has made the profile titles incredibly broad so as to encompass intricate services or terms. So for example, digital marketing would be the broad heading for paid ads, social media marketing, and SEO. So it's important to know where your specialties lie. Now in the document, you can just pick it up and click on this link here. It will show you basically a guide that Upwork created for finding your specialties. Pretty straightforward. It's easy. So it's time to unveil my framework for specialized profile. No, I'm joking. So once you've written an excellent profile description once, you don't need to do it again. You can just use the same one. It's really neither here nor there. Thank God. That would have been like 20 more pages. So the video introduction. So we live in a time where people's attention spans have all but plummeted, as low as they can get. If you don't capture someone's attention within the first few seconds of an interaction, then regardless of if you intend to give them the secrets of the universe, it doesn't matter, they'll scroll. So much for the future though, am I right? Needless to say, people infinitely prefer to consume video rather than read large bodies of text. So here's a diagram for brands which content is preferred. Video content just performed better for them. So that's why we follow the HWRW format, by the way, so that it isn't too long. So going into the video introduction. All right, this is going to be pretty funny, but some of you have a filming phobia or something like that. So I didn't think this had to be said, but partway through the doc, someone gave me the objection that they're afraid to get on video. I have definitive proof that this works, as I've earned more than 6 figures in revenue for myself and my clients combined using the same structure and frameworks. And I've had clients tell me that their business was attributed to my video introduction. It made a difference. So if you don't want to film because you're shy on camera, then, I don't know what more to say than this. Like, grow up, please. Elon Musk used to sleep on factory floors. Jeff Bezos used to sleep in Amazon warehouses. And Howard Schultz lived on subsidized government housing during his childhood. Like, they're all billionaires. I'm pretty sure you can film a video. Like, come on. So the video introduction is just meant to complement the profile description. It's much easier to consume, and you can condense a lot of the information without boring the prospect. And this way, you're able to showcase results without seeming overbearing or needy. And as a result, garnering more trust from the prospect. Like, if you have a good video introduction plus a good profile description, then you can't lose. So there are 3 different ways you can do the video introduction. So you can either film it as a video sales letter. Most of you aren't familiar with this. So either the client interview or the talking head video introduction is probably going to be more suitable for you. Here's a little pyramid. So everything else you may have heard of are either completely ineffective or variations of these. So the video sales letter is probably the best for not just marketing in general. And you've likely watched a ton of them without knowing that it's a VSL. It's a sales letter is just designed to persuade its reader to take a specific action, like to purchase something or sign up for a service. Like, that's all. So it combines the art of persuasive writing with strategic marketing insights to create a compelling message that resonates with its target audience. A video sales letter is just the video version of a sales letter. Shocker. I'd say that this is a topic for later though, because trying to explain and to write a video sales letter on the first try it's not typically something people do, right? It takes quite a bit of time, and if you have zero copywriting experience, you're better off just looking at the other formats. So it's a surprise tool that will help us later. So if you want to learn more about direct response copywriting, like there are several accounts on Twitter that do the exact same thing. I'm not qualified to speak on it, so I won't. So in the absence of the VSL lies a client interview and client video testimonial. So the video introduction is powerful and one of the casual mediums through which we can showcase social proof or quality of work. So if we can use it to support our bold claims that we've made in the profile description through visuals, especially engaging the prospect, it's the most effective method apart from like a video testimonial. This is a diagram I got from a friend. So the reason this format is so powerful is because you're asking clients directly and it doesn't feel as scripted as a video testimonial. So if a prospect sees a video testimonial, they've never seen you before, they're probably assuming the worst. Like, they think that it's a friend of yours that's filming the video testimonial, probably told them what to say. This is probably BS. And you can't blame them either. The online marketplace is overridden with like low quality stuff. So I'm not saying that they can't do the same thing with the client interview, but it's a bit harder to deny it when the client is like on the other side. So it's very powerful. So this is just a little snippet that I got from a friend of mine, Eamon, who basically shows you how to get a client interview from your client. So this is in the doc. You can probably just skip through or just pause and read it. Here are the questions as well. So you have everything to get it, as well as the software. So you need to work smarter and not harder. So if your client doesn't want to hop on the interview, like you can't just give them an incentive to do it. Tell them you'll do some free work for them or something. It's not that difficult and it will make all the difference. Trust me. This can increase the effectiveness of your campaigns in marketing by at least 100%. So the talking head video is likely the format that's most applicable to the vast majority of you. If you're starting completely from zero, the talking head video format is your best bet. And it still puts you significantly higher than your competition who refuses to get onto camera. And the format itself is pretty simple, provided you're not a doorknob. Which, I mean, no disrespect if you identify as one. I think that's what the kids are doing nowadays. So my clients and I follow like an exceedingly simple framework. So you just want a brief introduction to display some social proof and a call to action, right? So don't want to go on too long in the introduction. You just want to, introduce yourself, state your name, like where you're from, how you get into your service, and then you got into your service and offer and stuff. And then of course your bold claim. So my name is Matthew Johnson. I'm from Jamaica and I offer social media management services to B2C companies and personal brands, guaranteeing them 10K followers and 5K in earnings. All right, let me start over. My name is Matthew Johnson and I'm from Jamaica and I offer social media management services for B2C and personal brands. If I don't get you 10K followers and at least one closed deal within the next 90 days, then you don't pay. Simple. So after talking a bit about yourself and your offer, it's time to back up your bold claim. So here's where you can drop screenshots, written testimonials, etc. With some simple editing, which you can hire from Upwork. You can just drop those in. And it's very important, right? Because You get people to trust you. So your CTA. So lastly, we want to once again give a clear call to action. So the prospect knows what the next step should be. Whether that is to book a call, send a request to interview, which is like an inbound lead, or just check out your socials, which is again social proof if you have socials. So it's that simple. And it works pretty well depending on how you innovate with it. Can't lose. The only thing worse than having no video introduction is having a bad one. So just ensure that you follow this framework to a T and it will wow the prospect. I promise you. No excuses. So the portfolio. Prospects want to trust you. Humans are innately kind and helpful. I want you to remember that. We just need to give them a push to verify the fact that we're someone worth trusting. And that's the purpose of the portfolio. You want to flood them with so much proof that they have no choice but to trust you. But what if I don't have any proof? Yeah, then you're just going to have to do free work. Like, you don't need someone's permission to do work for them. As long as you're not copywriting their stuff and, being sleazy or scammy, like, you can do a logo for someone for free and give it to them, like, completely free. So that's what you're going to have to do. And again, this is a lot of work, yes. But if you have no social proof, this is what you have to do. So just once again, free work. If you're an aspiring email copywriter and you do designs, just do some designs for a brand that you'd love to work with. The worst case scenario is they say no and don't work with you as a client. Just show them. Best case scenario is yes, they like what you do and they want you as a client. That's best case scenario. So 100%. And all you have is time if you're a beginner, right? If you're an agency, this shouldn't apply to you because you already have results. But if you're a beginner, all you have is time. So if you have no portfolio elements, time to get to work. I'll show you how to structure a portfolio more in another document. So I'm just going to skim over this. There's no perfect amount in a portfolio element of portfolio elements. You can put as many as you want, but just ensure that you put it as a gallery so that people are able to see first. People see before they make a decision. So this is from a client of mine who does web development for Shopify stores. Doesn't get much better than that. Skills. So skills is just another opportunity to flex. Like, that's the sole purpose of the skills. You have another opportunity to put all of what you can do. So if you're and it affects your SEO, which is search engine optimization, which is essentially when somebody looks you up, what comes up. Like, what determines in what order you appear on a search. So if you're a copywriter, you want to select the skills, direct response copywriting, sales letters, etc. For this example, I'm using my client again, who is a Shopify web developer. You're only given 15 skills per profile, so make sure to make it count. So yeah, once again, the purpose and importance of skills. So it's to showcase expertise, improve visibility, and build credibility. All these things. And choosing the correct skills. So to keep in mind, you just want your skills to be relevant. So for keyword optimization, you want to have keywords that's related to your specialty. You want to have a balance between broad and niche skills. And then of course, you sum it all up with evidence of skills. So if you've included skills like web development, you should be showing evidence that you're able to do web development. And at a high level too. Go hard or go home. So here's another diagram. And here's an ideal skills section again. I showed my client earlier, but this is my profile. Everything here has to do with social media. Everything. Have broader keywords like content strategy and content management as well. But everything is social media. So they're niched, but not too niched. So they're broad enough for me not to exclude a large contingent of the audience, but they're niched enough to be able to be applicable to someone more niched. So only when you have a balance of these will this actually make a difference. Testimonials. Is this deja vu? We just went through the portfolio, but that's not the same thing as an Upwork verified testimonial. So Upwork treats these testimonials differently. So they actually verify them. As you can see here, these are some of my testimonials. So you get a check mark. Just like on social media to verify your identity, it happens here too. So the value of verification is that no one has to wonder whether you are who you say you are. You already have proof of this, and Upwork just backs you up like a wingman. So you want to make, we made reference to the growing inauthenticity, but Upwork solves this. So make sure that you fill this out. So, why wouldn't you take advantage of this? If Upwork themselves are yeah, this guy is legit. And here's how it works. So Upwork actually uses LinkedIn to verify the identity of the person. So they go and they verify the LinkedIn identity. They'll have you fill out this form here. And here where it says client's LinkedIn profile, that's where they use to check if you're actually who you say you are. So you don't want written testimonials to sound over embellished, by the way. Or in layman's terms, you don't want it to sound like too good to be true. Tell them to write their honest thoughts and hold nothing back. Ask your clients for these. Like, they're happy to give you, I'm sure, if you do good work. Yeah, but like if you have no one to request a testimonial from, free work. Like I'm not going over all of this again. Like, do free work. Earn the testimonial. Just never fake it. Ever. Certifications. So does your degree count? Like, I don't have a degree. I'm the family disappointment. So, but all jokes aside, certifications really don't make that big of a difference on Upwork. I have had no certifications since starting Upwork. I still don't. So, it doesn't apply here, in my opinion. It's marginal. It helps, but if you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. Again, Upwork does verify some certifications using Credly. So like anything Google related or Facebook related, Meta now, I guess, it will verify it, which helps. Again, somebody will check and see that you're actually who you say you are and you've gotten the results that you said you've gotten. You're limited to 3 certification slots. So if you have multiple certifications, just choose the ones that are most relevant to your skill set. Uncertified professionals, I mentioned that Upwork, they're accredited, right? Which is what I had in writing. This just means that these are the ones that Upwork will verify and you have like an icon there. But if they aren't recognized by Upwork or they're not in Credly or whatever, it might be the same in terms of how good they are, but it won't show. It's not accredited, so it won't show the icon. But it still gets the job done, right? In my opinion. As this is a screenshot from a client who has like this screenshot that you see up here, certification is from a client and they just closed a deal. This was, I don't know how long ago this was now, maybe a couple of weeks back for 6.5K. With potential of an upsell. So I'd say it doesn't really matter. So if you don't have certifications, doesn't really matter. Like, people don't care as much as you think. Again, if you're able to prove your competence using something like, if you're proving your competence with something like your testimonials, your portfolio, you will get the job done. I made 40K for myself within the first few months of working on Upwork without any certifications or a degree. It's not that serious. I don't need this. Employment history. All right. I didn't think this had to be said, and I didn't think about it either, but I've never seen anyone who has 0 experience, work experience. They'd have to be like less than 18. And even if that was the case, you're not allowed on Upwork if you're less than 18. So it's all good. And I got my first job at like 15. So even for me, like I'm pretty sure most people have this, but I just wanted to cover it just in case. I wanted to highlight relevant employment. So I worked as an operations assistant at one point, and I also worked as a social media manager. All of these things have to do with what I'm offering. So don't overcomplicate it. Do what works. Lastly, we have other experiences. The entire point of this section is for you to talk. Like yap. I even have the GIF here. The point of the profile description is for it to be short and to the point. But in the event that you want to talk about anything else that you want to do or can do, that's where you have the other experiences section. So here's where you list out all of the competencies and proficiencies that you may have omitted within the profile description. Like that's all it is, right? So it's either relevant or it's irrelevant. So if you put something like babysitting in your other experiences, that's probably not going to be the best. You might be a padlock instead of a doorknob, which is worse. So keep in mind that the prospect only cares about skills relevant to the problem. So if they see, as a social media manager and content creator, skills that would be relevant and nice to have would be video editing and graphic design. So as a content creator, it is implied you already have said competencies, but the other experiences section allows you to provide context. So where did you learn those skills and how did you apply them? So here, customer service skills. I worked at a place called Kingston Bookshop, which is the first job I ever got. I was in a bookstore. I was a customer service representative. Video editing. I needed to know this at my social media marketing job to really succeed, right? And in graphic design, same thing. Like you need to have graphic design experience to do anything in social media. So I'd recommend keeping the count to like 3 or 4 so it doesn't become overbearing. But as always, use your discretion. And here we are at the end. So now the ball is in your court. Provided you follow this exact framework that I've given you, you will undoubtedly get interested inbound and outbound clients directly from Upwork. It doesn't matter whether you own and operate a B2B company or you're a freelancer. What it takes to attain success on the platform remains the same. Godspeed. I wish you luck. All the best to you guys and happy sending.